Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to get into some basic formulas in Excel. And what I've done is created another data set over here on sheet 2. Very basic kind of data set. What I've done is created 10 employees. These are salespeople. We can see their total sales here for the year or for the quarter or whatever the time frame may be, and then we can see what region they're in. And what we want to do is pull out some basic information from these employees. So the first thing that we want to do, let's say we're the CEO of the business, and we want to pull out, okay, well, how much money did we make as a business thus far? Let's say these are first quarter results. What we're going to do is sum up all of these numbers, and what we want to do is come below those sales numbers, and in order to get our total, so we're going to put a total here. We're going to several ways to do this. The kind of way to do it by typing it in. Whenever you're typing a formula, this is something to remember. You always have to start the formula with an equal sign. Always, every time. If you don't, then Excel's not going to know that you want it to calculate something. So if we just type in the word sum, it's not going to do anything. It'll just have the word text, the text sum there. But if we say equals sum, it's going to know that we're trying to do something or trying to perform a function. So what we're going to do is we're going to type in sum, and then we're going to say open parenthesis, and we're going to select. It's basically instructing us how to do this, right? So we're going to select all of the numbers that we want it to sum. So we're going to click on the first number, which is 10,000, and drag our mouse all the way down to 23,000. So it gives us a range there, B2 to B11, and then I'm going to say end parentheses and hit enter. So our total there is $133,000. So that's one way that you can do it. I'm going to delete this and show you another way to do it. So again, we put our cursor there. We go up to the top here, auto sum. We click that. It automatically picks up that's what we want to sum. You hit enter, done. $133,000. Same response or same result. The other way that you can do this, if you know the cells that you want to sum and you don't want to scroll up, let's say you've got a really long spreadsheet, you don't want to scroll up to the top, you can type equals sum, open paren, and you can type in B2 and see the cell is highlighted, so it knows what we're trying to do. Shift, colon, and then B11, and it will highlight those cells again. And then we're going to do close paren, enter, $133,000. The result is the exact same for all three methods. It's just whatever your personal preference is. 3 ways to do it. Maybe you picked up something new that you didn't know there. Let's say now that we want to take an average. We want to see, okay, on average, how much did each salesperson make for the year? So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to type average, just so we don't lose track of what we're doing. And again, I'm going to type equals AVERAGE, open parenthesis. Again, very similar to sum. We're going to highlight our values there, close parenthesis, enter. So our average for per salesperson is $13,300. So for among these 10 people, that makes a whole lot of sense, right? Our total is 133,000 on average. 133,000 divided by 10 people is 13,300. So we're absolutely right with our average there. The next thing I want to do is figure out, okay, well, what is the minimum and what is the maximum sales that we have in our data set here? So I'm going to type in here minimum and then tab maximum. So we're going to say equals min, and it's going to bring up, it's going to guess at what we want, just like Google, when you type into Google, it guesses what it thinks you want. So I'm going to double click on min, and we're going to again highlight those same cells, B2 through B11, close parenthesis, enter. The minimum is 1,000. So if we scroll through our data, yep, looks like 1,000 is right there. Salesperson number 8 is the lowest sales. Our max, exact same thing, equals max. We're going to double click that and highlight the cells, close parenthesis, enter. Looks like the max is 26,000, and yep, right there, salesperson number 8, 26,000. So some very basic ways to do some basic formulas in Excel to get to some pretty interesting and very important information, right? So if we're trying to do, incentive compensation or something like that, these would be very important things that we would need to do. The next thing that I want to cover is how to rank these employees. So you have, let's say you have a bunch of people that you want to rank to see who sold the most, who sold the least, and everything else in between. What we can do is type in a very simple rank formula. So I'm going to type in here rank, just because that's what we want the column heading to be. And we're going to say equals rank. What I want to do is this second one, rank.eq, which it returns the rank of a list in a list of numbers, its size relative to the other values in the list. If more than one value has the same rank, the top rank of that set of values is returned. So we're going to click here, and we're going to highlight our data set. So B2 through B11 again, shift, close parentheses, enter. Whoop, I forgot one thing, a couple things actually. So rank EQ, the number that we want to rank is here. So B2, and then we're going to say comma, the reference. So what is the reference that you want it to look at to give you the rank? You're going to highlight all of those cells, including the one that you've highlighted, and then comma, order. So we're going to type in here descending order. So because we want the top salesperson to be ranked number 1. So that's why we're going to select descending. So I'm going to double click that, and then we're going to hit enter. So for some reason this is formatted as a $sign, so we're going to come up here and say general, just so there's no formatting there. And now what we're going to do is we're going to copy this down. Remember the trick to copying down? We highlight this so we get our black plus sign, and we double click, and we have our rank here. But wait a minute. How can this person be ranked second when they're the highest? We've already said that that person's the highest selling salesperson. Well, what we did wrong was we forgot to freeze the cells in our reference. So if we click on salesperson 4, so what we want the reference to be is cells B2 through B11. When we click on salesperson number 4, see how this has changed? So it's kept the same number of cells, but now our reference is B5 through B14. This is such a common mistake. So please take note of this. Make sure that you freeze your references when you're doing these types of formulas, because the reason why these are showing up as number 2 is because this total of $133,000 is in our reference range. So what we want to do is we're going to come back up to this first cell before we copied everything down, and we're going to freeze the reference cell. So I'm going to put my cursor between the B and the 2, and I'm going to push F4. And it comes up with 2 $signs, one before the B and one before the 2. And all that means is that that's going to be frozen, and that's not going to move. So even when we copy down the formula, those cells are not going to change. The B2 here, the cell that we want it to rank, will change, but the reference will not. I'm going to put it between the B and the 11, hit F4. Now I'm going to hit enter. That one doesn't change because that's the way we wanted it. When I copy this down now we have the right ranks. And you can see that the 26,000 right there is ranked number 1. And now what we can do, let's say, instead of employee ID, we have names here. What we can do is we can throw a filter on these, and we can sort smallest to largest. And now we can see salesperson 9 is number 1, salesperson 5 is number 2, etc., etc. So again, very, very helpful. Ranking can be a really helpful function. I'm going to redo our rank here, our sort by employee, get rid of the filter for us right there. The last part that I want to do is combine something that we learned in a previous module, and I want to let's say again I'm the CEO, and I want to find out in each of my regions how much money have I made, right? So which of our regions is doing the best? So one easy way to do that, let's say that I don't want to type out the number of regions. One easy way to do that is to highlight this whole column, Control C for copy. I'm going to paste that just over here anywhere, Control V. Now what I'm going to do is, remember when we did remove duplicates before? I'm going to do that exact same thing right now. I've highlighted the data that I want. I'm going to say remove duplicates and hit OK. 6 duplicate values found. and removed, 5 remain. That's wonderful. Region, Midwest, Northeast, South, and Northwest. Done. Boom. Now what we're going to do is we are going to do total sales. So I want to find out what are the total sales for the Midwest. So instead of going through and highlighting all of the Midwest and then totaling those up, or doing, one way that we could do this is we could do equals sum open paren, and we could click on all of the sales that say Midwest. So I'm going to click on 10,000, and I'm going to say comma, and I'm going to hunt and peck and find 26,000, and it looks like that's all that we have. So I'm going to close the parenthesis there. Northeast, I'm going to go equal. So anyway, you can imagine how tedious this would be if we had several lines of data. Here we're dealing with 10, so it's a little bit easier. But if you had hundreds and hundreds of lines, or potentially thousands of lines of data, that would be virtually impossible to do. So what we want to do is write a different formula. And that formula is called sum if. And what that formula does is that you tell Excel that you want it to sum or add up all the values given a certain condition. And so we're going to practice that right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to say equals sum if. And you can see that, again, Excel is guessing at what we want. And I'm going to say open parenthesis. So it's going to ask you for the range. And what it's saying is basically, where do you want me to look for this criteria that you're giving me? And our range is going to be in this region column. So we're going to highlight all of our regions. So we want that to be our range. And we're going to say comma. And the criteria, we want that criteria to be Midwest. And because we copied this over, we know that it's the same. So let's say we misspelled Midwest, or we retyped it. That's why I like to copy and paste it over, because it minimizes the errors that you can have when you're doing these types of formulas. So we're going to click on Midwest, and then it's going to say, okay, well, once I've sorted out all of the Midwests, what do you want me to add up? So we're going to highlight all of our sales data here, and then we're going to close parenthesis and hit enter. So total sales for the Midwest, it looks like it is $36,000, and let's check that. So we've got a 26,000 here, and we've got a 10,000 there. So that's correct. Midwest is $36,000. I'm going to throw some formatting on here. I'm going to come up here to our Home tab, click on the $sign. I'm not going to deal with the extra decimals, so I'm going to get rid of those, and $36,000. So what do we need to do in order to copy this down so that we can very easily fill in the rest of our data? Well, like I said before, because this formula is asking for the range that we want to look in, and we want to make sure that that's frozen, right? The criteria, we want that to move, because as we copy this down, we want it to look up northeast, we want it to look up south and then northwest, but we want the sum range to be frozen as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my cursor at C2, do an F4, C11, do an F4, a B2, F4, and a B11, F4, and hit enter. And now, when we copy this down, I'm going to click and drag. There we go. There are our total sales for each of our regions. So it looks like the South has done the best with 52,000. The Northeast is coming second with 42. Midwest is third with 36, and the Northwest is 3. Let's just check the Northwest. That seems kind of small. So we can come over here, and an easy way to do that is that we throw a filter on, and we can filter by our region. That is Northwest. Oop. Click on the check. Yep, there we go. See, sales are only $3,000. So another cool trick in Excel, you'll notice that if you highlight two cells that are numbers, down here at the bottom, it will give you all sorts of information. So the average of those two cells is 1,500. The count is 2, the sum is 3,000. So another interesting kind of quick, if you're trying to get quick information or quick data, you can always use that as a trick as well. So let's unhide all of these. And there we go. That was our sum if statements.